Good morning. I'm going to read so we go quicker. Welcome to the Shakespeare's birthday. On a day like this, back in 1564, in a country town, very much like Chascomús. Have you been to Chascomús? Or Monte or Magdalena, a country town. The man whom we also call the Bard was born. The town was known as Stratford upon Avon, and the parents were John Shakespeare, glover by profession. You know what a glover is? One who makes gloves. A glover by profession, and Anne Arden, a former daughter who was then above the station of the husband. William was the third boy by birth, but became the eldest through infant's death. By the time he died, on a day like this, again, in 1616, he had become the richest man in Stratford. And together with Don Miguel de Cervantes, who also died on that day and year, the greatest writers of the Western world. And in England, Shakespeare, an equivalent to our General, what is this? An equivalent, I said, to, I think, an equivalent to our General Don José de San Martín, that is the father of the nation. In Shakespeare's case, the father of the English nation, by being a poet, by owning the English language. We could speak longer about this, about the English language and the importance of the Spanish language for Don Miguel de Cervantes, and the importance of Castilian in our own case, and the connection with identity. But we are in a hurry, okay? So, by the time he died, I said he was also the richest man in Stratford. Now, you know why we are here celebrating him. The how we are celebrating today goes like this. Yes, we have Stratford upon Avon, near London. You can commit yourself to the geography, to the situation. You see France, the distance. And across the Atlantic, we see the other Stratford, that is a Canadian Stratford. I can't see it, can you? Yes. Okay, please point to it, Marcela. Where is it? Yes, thank you. Stratford, it's on the northeast, I'm sorry. And to the north, I don't see, but you could, to place yourself in the enormous territory of Canada, we have Stratford here and Ontario. Is it marked? No, it's here. And so, I'm sorry, Ontario, no, I'm looking for Toronto. Toronto is the capital, do you know? And so, so in between these two very big bays, and then here you can place Detroit in the United States. So this is to realize where Stratford is. And I'm going to continue with the reading because I don't want to take extra time. In Stratford, Canada, they also built a Shakespearean theater festival in 1952, in the 50s, the middle of the 20th century. And it was a local journalist who did it, and they ran the Bard's plays from April to October. It so happened In 1956, that a great Afro-American musician, Duke Ellington, my colleague Marcela will tell you all about him, were performing there, and I use were on purpose because I'm using the subjunctive, okay? So there, in an interval of his concert, he was playing at the same theater, but you know that these festival buildings have several auditories. So he decided to visit the auditorium nearby where a play was ongoing. That's how he came across the well-known speech by the Duke of Gaunt that we are going to hear, to see, to think about a while. That's the center of our celebration. I was just going to show you the book, the play, Richard II, where the speech has been taken from. We're not sure that they were playing Richard II, probably Richard V, that is much better known. But as it is tradition in the performances of Shakespeare, sometimes they take parts from one text and insert them in the other. For example, the famous Orson Welles, who filmed all the 4 historical plays connected with the Civil War, he included situations and speeches from certain plays into others. So it's a tradition. And Midnight Chimes is the name of the film, and you can watch it on the internet. Anyway, the point is that Duke Ellington was so awed and shocked emotionally by this speech by the Duke of Gaunt that he immediately made up his mind to create music. And because he is an Afro-American who did jazz, it had to be jazz. And this is what we have married together today to celebrate the birthday. That is an appropriation by an American of an English poem, an English verse. And what we are about to try and see is what was exactly, if we can, what created this experience and this emotion in Duke Ellington. I think I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to refer now to the title very briefly, Such Sweet Thunder. When you hear the word such sweet thunder, there is something strange in the expression, isn't it? Can you see it or hear it or what? What is strange in the expression? Good for you. So you have received the oxymoron. Now, that's it. That figure is an oxymoron. And you have the definition, a combination of contradictory terms. It's either sweet or it's either thunderous. So it cannot be very well both things. But here we have an example taken from Milton's Paradise Lost. He defines hell as darkness visible. So if it's dark, how can you see? And if it is visible, then how can it be dark? So this is the same case. It's sweet thunder. Although opposites, we can make sense of the expression. That is, what do we understand? In connection with hell, I think we can realize the meaning in a way. It's hell, it's darkness, visible. I cannot close my eyes and forget all about it, get away from it. And it's visible. but it's not a dawn or a sunset. It's night eternal. So the question would be at this point, what does Duke Ellington mean by calling his experience such sweet thunder? Can we go back to the quotation? Yes, the quotation is taken from A Midsummer Night's Dream, another play by Shakespeare. And the character is Hippolyta. Hippolyta is a secondary character, but a prestigious character, both in Greek mythology and in the play. And this is the fourth act. That is, they are finishing the play. They are in a kind of harmonious relationship. And so she is telling you about, because she belongs to Greek mythology. I was with Hercules, etc., etc. And she ends with, in a wood, the hounds of Sparta. That's the point. The hounds, you know, are dogs. And the expression is they bayed the bear. They were after the bear, shooting the bear, or the other expression, hunting the bear because it's bigger. And so the hounds, you know what dogs do when they are in a pack and after the prey, they bark. But the English would understand this because they had the fox hunting and they had the packs, and the trainers of those dogs, they herd to the dogs. And it's funny because it's similar to the singers in opera. The teacher of singing listens to you and they decide, for instance, they said, I'm a contralto. But another one, maybe with a is forgive me, it's a soprano. So the dogs trainers that are used for fox hunting are heard, and then they decide whether they are baritones or tenors, and they put them in such a way and train their barking, so that when they go after the prey, they are all barking, but they bark as they have been trained to. And so it's not really unpleasant, but all the opposite, because they are doing something that has been harmoniously concerted. And so this is what Hippolyta is telling us. She was an Amazon. And so she was a woman that went hunting like Queen Elizabeth I. And she was then used to this kind of sport. And so she told us about the gallant chiding, again, an opposite. And that is the figure of the Oxymoron. And so here we have, I never heard so musical a discord. Again, the same. So musical a discord, such sweet thunder. This is what the musician heard, and that's why he chose that. Can we continue? Yes. There you have the man. And
and he was so connected, Duke Ellington was so connected to Shakespeare that in a way he wrote or he composed his themes in a similar way as Shakespeare did. Because Shakespeare, he was writing, he thought of the particular character, the particular actor to who he would assign the part. And the same happened with Ellington. When he composed, he thought of particular musicians in his orchestra, and he used also soloists, soloists like characters in a theme. And I'd like to make you listen to this theme, which is called Such Sweet Thunder. And then we are going to analyze some sort of guided listening. But first of all, try to think of this and try to think about what you feel, because what Ellington said was that some people hesitate to fully engage in and enjoy music and enjoy Shakespeare plays because they thought that they should be experts, that they should know a lot to appreciate these performances. But what he said is, well, what matters is emotion. What matters is what you feel when you listen to or when you watch or read a Shakespeare play. And let's see. Nothing, I think. I'm just trying to place my mouse in the correct place. Right. It's not working. I need to place my mouse there in the Chrome here. Right. This, could you please expand, play and expand?
Espera. There you go. All right. Then I want to go back to suelta el mouse, suelta el mouse. To go back to
the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
And then I go back to the music.
No?
Yeah. PowerPoint.
Whoops, sorry.
The drama.
There you go.
Right. Ellington composed a kind of music which was called
Yes, that's okay. Go ahead.
jungle music. Yes, jungle music. While he was playing at the Cotton Club, which was a nightclub in Harlem during the 1920s and 30s, and it was called jungle music. Afro-American people were not allowed to enter the place, only the performers would go, and white people was allowed to go. And what I'd like to do now is kind of a guided listening. We're going to listen again to this piece, and we're going to divide, break up in parts, in which you will go, let's see if we can, spot a swaggering minor blues thing, or always inside the thing, the composition. A plunger brass, which is, plunger brass is tapping the trombone or the trumpet, tapping it in order to make a wah-wah sound, you know, like a sound like you were talking, a wah-wah. Then you're going to listen to a major blues theme, saxes, trumpet solo, because as I said, Ellington wrote for soloists, a big ensemble transition, a trombone melody saxes, return to plunger brass, and then the ending with a single piano note. Let's see if we can spot. The problem is that I have to go away from this. I'm going to tell you the parts. Can we go back to the music?
Yep. Which one? No.
No. Just
No. This one. This one?
no. The previous
Okay.
one. No. No, you have to enter through Chrome. Duke Ellington. That's it.
Again?
Again, please. Thank you.
Pero terminó ya.
Hey,
Hay que ponerlo de
you can go
vuelta.
back. From the beginning. This is the swaggering minor blues theme. Swaggering, that's swaggering. trombone melody saxon. A single piano note marking the end of the piece. Right. Did you like it? How did you feel? It's different to know each of the parts because you listen, looking for some sense, you need to make sense of the whole thing.
And there's this tension between this sound, beep, 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 as if someone telling you off,
Yes.
marking the way, and you see that that way is not the one followed.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like what we were saying here with Malvina, it's similar to what's going on in the play between the young people and the old characters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In the
Right. So we're going to finish with this part, listening part, and then I give the microphone to Laura.
Okay, so I was making this comment between this tension. Sorry, I was making this comment about this tension between this group of characters, the young characters and the older ones. And the text that you have there is, in fact, that. So we have old Gaunt. This is a character, he's the uncle of King Richard, and he sees that he's not going the right way. He sees that his nephew is a bad king, and at the very beginning he tries to please him, to convince him in a good way, and then finally he's like, okay, no, this cannot go on this way, and he feels that this king will damage his land that he loves. And this is his famous patriotic speech that begins like this. There is this. I wrote in the text in silence. Shall we really why in silence? I don't know why. Okay. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this city of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against the infection and hand of war, this happy breed of men, this world, this precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves it in the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happy lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous for their birth, renowned for their deeds, as far from home, for Christian service and true chivalry, as is the sepulchre in stubborn surety of the world's ransom, blessed Mary's Son, this land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for her reputation through the world, is now leased out, I die pronouncing it, like to a tenement or pelting farm. England, bound in with the triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and bottom parchment bonds. That England that was wont to conquer others has made a shameful conquest of itself. Would the scandal vanish with my life, how happy then were my ensuing death. I read it, is that good? And that's what we are going to do. I would like you I would like to talk to you, and I would like you to tell me what challenges do you imagine this sort of text will pose to an actor? If you were an actor and you had to say this in front of people, if you had to read it, how would you read it? What might the difficulties be? Yes. The rhythm. Okay, the rhythm, good. Something else, someone there at the back would like to make a comment? Yes. The pronunciation, of course. This is not a language that we are used to. Something else? Memory. Hmm? No. Sorry? Memory, very good memory to remember everything. Very good to remember the lines. People, you always admire the memory of the actors. Yes, but there's a secret to that. If you know what you're doing, you remember. Something else regarding language, apart from the pronunciation? No? Okay, when I first read this, I thought, how do you repeat the word this, in different ways without sounding boring, right? Yes, Lilian, have you? Okay. No? And the intonation also. And the intonation. Great. Okay, so we have selected here 3 wonderful actors who performed this. We have 3 different versions that I would like you to watch, pay attention to, and I would like you to think about the differences. How these 3 actors perform these lines in a completely different way. Each of them is unique. Think about the tone, the volume, the pauses. Where do they decide to make a pause? What do they highlight? How do they change the speed of their words? I would like you to think about the adjectives that you would use to describe each performance. Which words, phrases does each of them put more emphasis on? And which lines called your attention? I don't know if you've got with you something to write, but feel free to, I mean, this is for you. Yes, if you need to take out some pen, pencil to write this, do write your notes. Can we go to there?
This one first?
All of them.
All of them?
We can start with Inside I'm a Prophet. The other one, that's the oldest version by John Gilbert. Yes.
Okay.
Expired, and thus expiring, to fulfill him. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last. The violent fire soon burn out himself. So shines up.
Sorry. 1 second. You just start again so that it goes into the recording. 1 sec.
You're going to see that the lines that he begins with are not the ones that you have written, but you will find these lines later on. We made a cut there just for the sake of making the work shorter.
That's what I do. You inspired, and thus expiring, to fulfill him. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last. The violent fire soon burn out himself. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. Times the times that stirs too fast the times. The meager feeding food that choke and fear. Like vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming need, soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, his earth and majesty, his seat of Mars, Calderon, paradise, his fortress built by nature by herself against infection of the hand of war, this heavy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves it in the office of a war war as a moat defensive to a house against the enemy of this happier land. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming wool of royal kings, feared by their greed and famous by their birth, renowned for their deeds as far from home, the Christian service and true chivalry, as is the sepulchre and stubborn jury of the world's ransom. Blessed Mary's Son, this land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for her reputation to the world, is now leased out. I pronounce it tenement of Celtic farm, England bounded with a triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the endless siege of watery Neptune, is now bounded with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That was not to conquer others, a very shameful conquest of itself. Ah, would scandal vanish? Ah, happy then that I slew death.
Whoa.
And thus expiring, do fortell me. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last. But what?
It's the other one, right? This one? Oh, the other one.
That one.
Okay. Okay. One sec.
Did you notice the process?
You inspire me, and thus expiring do fortell me. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last. The violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. Like vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming means, soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against infection and the hand of war, this happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves it in the office of a war as a moat defensive to the house against the enemy of less happier lands. Here, blessed plot, is earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous for their birth, renowned for their deeds as far from home for Christian service and true chivalry, as is the sepulchre in stubborn jewelry of the world's ransom, blessed Mary's Son. This land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for the reputation through the world, is now leased out. I pronounced it like to a tenement of a Celtic farm. England, bounding with a triumphant sea whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England, that was wont to conquer others, has made a shameful conquest of itself. Oh, the scandal vanished with my life. How happy then for my ensuing death. Please come happy on my
I'm sure you immediately got the difference. And then we have another version by Patrick Stewart.
Yes, riot cat lash. For violent fires soon burn out themselves. This royal throng of kings, this sceptred eye, this earth, this other being. This fortress built by nature for himself against infection, the hand of war. This happy breed of men. This little world. This precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves in the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happy lands. This king, this land, such deep soul. Is now released out and God pronounces it. Tenement far. England, bound in the troubled sea, is now bound in the shame.
Okay, so I'm sure that all of you already spotted a lot of differences that you have comments to make, and I would like you to share your thoughts, to share your impressions on this little tablet. You have the code there for you to scan, and there is a poll also uploaded for you to choose your favorite version, the one that made the greatest impression on you. And I would like I would like you to think about what does all this have to do with you here and now? Why are we reading this text again? Why does this text matter? If it does to you. There is something about this love for the land. Well, at least that for me is really beautiful. Like, do we love our land in the way Gaunt does? That's something that we can think of. So the one that I'd like to share is Jackson Shakespearean.
This one?
That.
Okay. There you go.
So you've got the. Is there a vote? A vote already for John Lewis? Version number 1. So, looking, I hope the connection is working properly. Yes. Oh, I thought you had a question. 10 votes. And I'm going to give you now some minutes for you to write your thoughts, your impressions, your comments. If there's a favorite line that you like for one reason or another, Yes, everyone loves version number 1. There, it says 10 votes. I think we can update the web. No, I think they have 10 votes in total. Yeah. Yes.
Maybe you want to update that? Let's see.
If you vote, you can see a percentage. You have to vote.
Okay. So there we should click show results.
A prophet, you inspire, and thus expiring to mortality. His rash, fierce
I don't know
blaze of
why.
life
We can put on hold that.
Okay.
We can put on
The violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short.
I think one.
Like vanity, insatiate corners, consuming means, true praiser of itself.
It's me.
Royal throne.
Yes,
You have to go to the webpage. Esta.
There.
That webpage.
Second eye.
Okay.
Para no es la página.
His birth of majesty.
Wait.
God,
What?
his other beings, deadly combat.
But not on Zoom.
Will by nature for herself against the infection of the hand of war.
What do you want me to do?
This little world, this precious stones in the silver sea, which served in the office of a war, most against the house, against the envy of this capital.
There.
Okay.
What was that?
All right.
Do you think we can update the Padlet to see if there are any comments?
Where is it?
The
Here. Yeah, that's what I did.
Oh, God.
You inspire,
Don't make me do this.
and thus expire.
There we go. Oh, there are votes on each.
Here?
Sir Patrick Stewart's version is very sweet. It's like he's in love as he's saying those lines. He's nostalgic, and the camera focuses on his face. And you can really connect with his emotions. The other versions are more theatrical. I love the second. That's what I love the second one. That's very theatrical. Me too. Actually, that's my favorite one. He has a lot of passion, like saying those lines. Yes. And he's really passionate saying those lines. Yes. I thought that you added something else afterwards. So don't you have any, would you add any comment, any? You don't have to write your name if you don't want to. Well, Malvina, would you like us to continue? Or?
Yes.
Yes? I don't know if you are writing comments or
like expressing what
or maybe you are doing that and I have not given you enough time.
comments or.
You already uploaded? Okay. Project spread, reverse.
The third one.
Yes. Okay. Because we still have.
No, I like the one of Patrick Stewart, but because he's Professor X. That's disgraceful. But I like more movies. So I like more how he looks at the camera, how he's widow and how he that is more romantic for me.
Yes, it's more silence. Yeah. And Paul, he likes to use silence to give emphasis while the others give emphasis with more like dramatic. Yes.
Staging. You notice when they are on the stage. Yes, but Patrick Stewart is doing it for TV or for film. But there is something interesting in his delivery. He has cut some text. And besides, he has modernized in a way. He has cut the part in which there is a reference to Jerusalem, the jewelry. Especially now, it is the same. Especially now that they are having a war, that they are having a war there. So he has cut that. On the other hand, if you pay attention to the words, he mentions that he is about to die. And that might explain why he has little strength. Whereas Michael Pennington and John Gilbert, they look very much alike. Such a rage.
And like how Michael stands in the stage is very clear for that too, how he stands and how he. Nothing else. And he makes reference. He's always making references, like this happy people like him talks to the ones that surround him, and then this England, and that's the audience. So he uses the stage to highlight what he's saying.
Also, I don't know, the video of Michael gave me the vibe that he's the crazy guy from town. I don't know.
He seems crazy.
Actually, because this is the context. His nephew, the king, I think I'm sorry, but his nephew, the king, has come to visit him with his son, with a chachos, with a boy. Thank you. And so there is something I would say funny in it also, and that's why the music of Ellington registers that at a given moment to the instruments. That he imagines the uncle that telling his nephew who is fun-loving and it's all he's thinking about because he's very young. He's 18 actually, and so historically he's 18, and so he imagines that by speaking about his death, speaking about his next death, he imagines that the nephew would relax and would feel sorry, and he would pay attention to his last wish or to his dying words. Remember, hemos batido al enemigo, muero contento. The tradition is that when we die, I'm thinking about my last words. I want it to be memorable. And so the Duke of Gaunt also wants to be memorable, to do something for his beloved England. And there is something funny about it because the nephew, the king, doesn't pay much attention to that aspect. And I think that Patrick Stewart registered that he's truly about to die, and he lacks this strength. And he's rather, as you say, sweet, because actually he's leaving the land he loves. Yes, you say romantic meaning love, but romantic implies violence. So it's not romantic at all.
Yeah, depends on what type of romance you have in your relationship.
Yeah, but I will insist upon.
Literature teacher.
Said romance.
Well,
That's literature.
So we pass on then, if you have nothing else to say.
No. I'm not going to take more time without half an hour still. Yeah.
Okay. The issue was this oxymoron. How do we understand it? The such sweet thunders. And so it's an interpretation. We have now, Susana is going to speak about it from the historical political point of view. And you can ask questions too, or contribute if you so wish. Okay, I try to be as quickly as possible because we all want to go home. Okay, we have time, Susana, we have 15-20 minutes. Okay? Yes. Well, all right. History plays make national history a matter of pride and interest, answering ideological demands of an emergent nation state. They reflect cultural environment, offering the landscape of English Renaissance sensibilities in relation to political and military history, no matter how accurately they present those events. By the middle of the 16th century, many requirements for a national identity already existed. A distinctive sense of territory, an English church, a set of national fables and feelings that certain things could only be said in English, the language that became a culture-defining mechanism in Renaissance England. In the mood of patriotic exaltation dominating history plays, to renounce one's native language implied forsaking one's elementary basis for self-definition as an Englishman. Geographical references provide a physical name for an abstract idea. One of the characters of the play, at the beginnings of Richard II, Mowbray, is sent into banishment by Richard II. And when he is banished, he describes the land of his exile, not only foreign but strange. He realizes that his mother language has lost its meaning. Foreign references measure English grandeur. In the play, Englishness often is expressed as a geographical state of being, place and language connected with power or loss of power, with patriotism and perfidy. The Earth of Majesty plays home, isle, Eden, Delhi Paradise, Fortress, House, Rome, England. Summing up all the feelings inherent in private nation and anger when it is destroyed by mismanagement or greed. National identity can be defined by opposition to other countries. To a large extent, victory abroad is the condition for legitimacy at home, as Henry V proves. There are hints that King Richard II's spices derive from his connections with foreigners, who represent the lack of the moral virtues that characterize the English. The Duke of York appears there with John of Gaunt, they are brothers, associates the extravagances of the king and his court with the Italian passions. In the course of the 14th century, that is to say, when Richard II was ruling, the obvious opponent was France. By the time of composition of Richard II, Mary Stuart, the Queen of Scotland, supported by the Spaniards, but also the French and the Pope, had been the center of conspiracies to dethrone Queen Elizabeth I. For Shakespeare's audiences, then, themes of attempted deposition and banishment echoed that struggle, and the upheavals that characterized the long reign of Elizabeth I were also part of the development of national identity. Going to our own times, as Ben Jonson famously said, Shakespeare was not for an age, but for all time. In our 21st century, during the Brexit campaign, both those who opted for Britain leaving the European Union and those who wanted to remain make references to Shakespeare to support their preference. The question of how Shakespeare would have voted was raised by numerous journalists, writers, and politicians who either tried to present Shakespeare as a national bard promoting British isolation, or a staunch adherent of England being an integral part of the European continent. Both sides turned to the authority of their greatest poet, and the year of the planned referendum for Brexit coincided with the 400th anniversary of the Bard. Shakespeare became a tool in the hands of those who claimed that if he had been alive, he would have voted their way. Now, for those who rejected Brexit, Shakespeare was aware that the English culture was the consequence of many foreign invasions and migrations in the course of several centuries, and the issues of otherness in their place become an integral part of Englishness, never showing fear of people from different and remote cultures. While Brexit was inspired to a large extent by the growing reluctance and aversion towards immigrants, while many others believe that Gaunt's speech is an undeniable proof of Shakespeare's patriotic or even nationalistic views about relations between England and Europe as an indication of Englishness, a manifestation of Britain's insular independence from the European continent, once and again quoting the line, "This fortress built by nature for herself." The nationalistic interpretation of Gaunt's speech can also be considered an example of an English obsession with his own past that to a point probably was shared by Shakespeare. Richard II is about events which were 200 years old when it was written and first performed. But those lines are spoken by a man who is thinking about England's history and thinking about the past, something contemporary audiences have in common with theatre goers in the 1590s, and as it is suggested by John of Gaunt in the 1390s. Gaunt seems particularly affected by the contrast between England's lucky geography and the negative consequences of misgovernment, and he remarks the absurdity of the way money can eclipse the grandeur of the landscape. In terms of colonial appropriations, Argentine audiences will find many ways of identification based on general assumptions about the generosity of our land and the apparently endless possibilities offered by nature, while a continuity of corrupt, greedy, and inefficient rulers have been able to push the country to the catastrophic conditions we witness today. The inky blots and rotten parchment bonds of Richard's loan agreement, mentioned by Gaunt, are for Gaunt legal documents that have destroyed everything that made England so strong. Although the land might be part of England, England is not the land, and it is implicit that bad political decisions are to be blamed. Again, Argentine audiences will understand very well how decisions taken without paying attention to consequences endanger the present and above all the future. In Gaunt's speech, we might detect a severe criticism of his fellow citizens. Nature has given the nation every blessing, and as Adam and Eve proved that they did not deserve the Garden of Eden, perhaps we might suppose the English people do not deserve that other Eden, because in his words, there is pride in the nation's land and history, but not much hope for its present, even less for its future. In our case, again, those indications could be perfectly understood. since there is a generalized feeling of historical failure that has a variety of origins in the course of national history, depending from the diversity of ideologies, inspiring those who try to explain the reasons for such an impressive downfall. The line "against the envy of less happy lands" reflects the idea of England in the past being the envy of countries that had not been blessed. This can also be very easily appreciated by our audiences, considering that for a long time, the Argentine society had a feeling of superiority regarding their Latin American neighboring countries, usually considered backwards and uncivilized. But just as Gaunt realized, this belongs to the realm of remembrance. From a different point of view, we might consider Gaunt's words as the typical reaction of an old man who rejects any innovation, and in a defensive movement turns to an idealized past which inspired those magnificent verses, coinciding with the Duke of York, another old man, who is also worried about the new behaviors that are becoming dominant in the royal family, the court, and therefore in the realm at large. Focusing on our own responses to the play, once again, there is an echo in the repeated complaints we are so fond of, combined with the nostalgic idealization of a more or less remote past, which is far more attractive to us, other older people, who, like Gaunt and the Duke of York, have manufactured a myth about a remote time that, as all myths, have no precise date, when our country, just like England, had a promising future and was the envy of less happy lands.
This is the end of it. We should finish by singing the happy birthday. But since we have no wine to toast to it, you are free to leave. And thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Before you escape America, that's the word, right? I'd like to take a picture. Can we all get together over there and take a picture of the event? And you really want like a nice, for the Padlet or the PowerPoint.